Yo, what's up, babies? It's Enviro Boys, it's my channel. We're gonna do some writing. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, one and all. Ooh. Ooh, who's with me? Who's ready for a weekend? I'm so ready for the weekend. Like, just obnoxiously ready for it. Oh boy, it's been a week. It's been a week. That is for sure. But hey, you know, such is life. Such is life, and now we get to chill and do a little creative stuff and then play a little video games before we dive into the weekend. I guess I shouldn't complain all that much. The fact that I have the freedom in my life to do exactly that, that's you know, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Nice. Another session today. That's a good Friday. That's a good Friday. It's actually kind of close to Good Friday, isn't it? Easter's not too far off. I don't know the exact dates of all that stuff, but I don't know. At any rate, that's awesome. That's awesome. I bet you're looking forward to that for sure. Let's see here. What else do I need to set up? What am I forgetting to set up? Oh, I know exactly what I'm forgetting to set up. Pull up here. Let's see here. We want. I believe this is the one that we're gonna want today. There we go. There we go. Get all my windows just open now. All my ducks in a row right off the bat. Well, this isn't right off the bat. If it were right off the bat, they would have already been set up. You know how it goes. You know how it goes. All right, there we go. All right, I think we're good to go. Hopefully everything is going nice and smooth. Let me bring us over to our live scene here. There we go. So we're gonna work on our campaign a little bit more. We kind of got an extra bit of campaign work earlier this week, because we were working on some like lore background stuff that relates to the section that we're working on right now. So we kind of got a little bonus in there, and we got all of this stuff in there. And actually a lot of this is gonna take more filling out as we go along. So we'll have to remember to stop back in here from time to time as we fill out the rest of it. But yeah, we got some good work in this week, and now I want us to really start diving into, like, we've kind of done the groundwork for a lot of it. I want to start going into the real meat and potatoes of this next part of this next part of our adventure that we're writing here, and start getting some details planned out. I think it's gonna be fun. Oh, nice. Starting off with right into action is. I think the thing that's fun about that is it shows that you guys had a nice cliffhanger at the end of the last session. That's great. That's great. Oh boy. Yeah. I mean, we've all kind of been in those situations, but like, there's something fun about being able to just like dive right in and handle the situation. So that's you know. I mean, they're just gnolls. It shouldn't be too much problems, right? Famous last words. Always famous last words, that one right there. All you got to do is you got to assume that you're going to go into it and get absolutely demolished right off the bat. Because if that's the assumption you go in, then the opposite will happen and everything will be just fine, right? It's like, that's what it always is with my players. It's like when they think they're great, that's when they start dying. But when they go in there and they think they're going to die, that's when it's like, oh no, they've got it handled. So you just go in assuming the opposite of what you want to happen, and then you'll be good to go. Yeah, so that's the route I always take as a DM, and that's why, you know, as we're going through this campaign and you see, like, so this chapter that we're working on in this campaign, right, there's those 6 sections to it, and that's why each section gets harder, right? The first one that they start in is going to be super easy for them. They're going to be level 6 here, and we're going to be setting things up that, like, players at level 1 or 2 could probably handle at a full party. And you just do that so that way players can have a lot of fun, 1, feeling like badasses, and 2, playing around with their new stuff, learning how to use their new abilities and everything like that. It's a really good way to go after it. So, oh, you made them meet death. You made them meet death. Wow, that's he gave them 2 levels. Wow, you are a very generous god. I'll tell you what. How's it going, Dr. Smile? It's good to see you. It has been a minute, hasn't it? It has been a minute. Life does that, doesn't it? It's like you're like, oh man, I'm really busy today, and then 2 months later you're like, whoa, what happened? No, it's no problem. Glad to have you here, my man. Glad to have you here. Okay, so we're gonna work on this chapter here. We've already kind of planned out the enemies that are gonna be in here. We've already got our map skeleton. So we got some stuff right here. 36 pages of text. Well, have fun with that. Have fun with that. So we've got our skeleton here, and it's going to be kind of a challenge trying to figure out. I have to figure out exactly how I want to run this, because the thing that we're doing a little differently, because normally the way I set my stuff up, right, I talk about kind of how I do this. I have like a formula that I stick to, because it's sort of a tried and true type of thing, until I get bored, and then I mix it up, and then hopefully don't mess things up too bad. And that's what we're doing here, because the tried and true is that we do 10 rooms, you know, with a certain sort of subdivision of what goes in each room. Like some of them have bosses, some of them have, well, one of them has a boss, some of them have enemies, some of them have traps and puzzles, they have different types of rewards and all that kind of stuff. And I do it based on 10 rooms for each one, just to make sure that there's kind of a decent proportion of, you know, different stuff for players to look at any given time. I want to try something different, and we're setting up our framework with 15 rooms for a couple of these, and we're going to have players revisit a couple times, and each time it's going to be a little different when they get in there. So we'll see how we can do this. The hard part is going to be deciding which rooms are in the first part and which rooms are in the second, and I think it's largely arbitrary, but we'll see as we go. We'll see as we go. So yeah, I mean, writing your own system is definitely a process. That's why, you know, like what, 50 years after the original D&D came out, they're still editing it and making new additions. Yeah, it's a process. It's a project you've taken on, that's for sure. I mean, if you haven't slept, yeah, I definitely a little nap sounds like it might be called for in that situation. But hey, you know, some people just operate differently. It's what, you know, whatever's good for you. Oh boy. they on level 1, and they took down CR16 monsters. Wow, that's some impressive playing at that point in time. That's just impressive playing and some good luck, I would have to say. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh yeah, well, good luck working on an economy. That's not my favorite bag when it comes to trying to do homebrew stuff. My economy is like the most minimal system in the world. If I could have all my players just like never buy anything and just like find stuff they need, I'd be happier that way. All right, so first let's go back here. So we've got it broken up, and so that our players are going to be encountering different types of monsters based on what chapter or what section of this chapter they're doing. And some of it is going into different areas, and some of it is like, because the idea is each section is like a different day that they're spending here, because they arrive at the city, they go meet the wizard up in his wizard tower, and they meet the wizard up in his wizard tower, and because they're trying to, they need access to a teleportation circle that he can and that he needs to repair for them that they can use. And so they're going to go up there, and he's going to say, all right, yeah, I'll do this for you, but I need these things. And it's like, he's just going to, like, not intentionally, because he's a little crazy. We're going with the crazy wizard trope in this one. And so he's a little crazy, so he's not doing it to intentionally be mean, but he's going to, like, basically one day at a time say, okay, now I need this thing, now I need this thing. And so each day they go out there, and that's going to set us up so that each day as they go to different parts of the city, that's like this abandoned city in the middle of the prairie, different creatures are inhabiting different parts of the city, and like different herds kind of move around is kind of how we're setting it up. So yeah, go rest up, that's for sure, CR1 monster really took him down. Yeah, I don't know, man. It sounds like you got some wild and crazy stuff going on there. I wouldn't begin to know how to help you rebalance that one. That's on you. All right, so this first section is going to be rhinos. Because why not, right? Like my thought with this section here, because the first section they're going to be facing rhinos, like a herd of rhinos show up, and then the second time they're in that marketplace, right? Hold on, that's the manor marketplace. The second time they show up there is when we're going to have them facing a herd of elephants. Just like fun, random, everyday stuff. And so my thought is, what we can do is this first one has, like, this first time they're here, I'm going to bring this over just so it's a bit more organized. The first time they're here, there's a certain set of rooms, or a certain set of buildings that are accessible. And so, like, there's rhinos kind of hanging out around in this area. They've kind of busted out some walls. We're probably going to edit these walls a little bit and bust certain ones of them. And then what I'm thinking I'll do for when the elephants show up is we'll have the elephants have done a certain amount of damage to the area. So, like, we'll have maybe, like, this block of buildings is, like, locked up and inaccessible to the players. But then later on, like, when the elephants show up, they've just by being big and destructive will, like, have bust down a wall that suddenly gets them access and they can kind of go in between all of these buildings. But then we'll have also busted out, like, the door, the access to some of these buildings and close them off. So it kind of changes the nature of the map is what my thought is with it. Like, that's what I think I'm going to do for it. Like, just assume that, or, maybe we can do, like, these two or these three are locked, right? And then this one's locked and this one's locked or something like that. So they have to kind of, and they'll come back and then these ones will be opened up because walls will be busted open and stuff like that to make it easier. And then if they really want to pick locks and get into other areas early, they can, but they won't know what they're looking for in those areas. So where death is one of the bosses. It's just a dungeon with death is one of the bosses. It's no big deal. I mean, I guess actually in D&D that really isn't a big deal. That's kind of just what it goes. So man, you got a crazy game going on there, man. I'll tell you what, you got some wild stuff happening there. I gotta say, your players sound like they are very creative and also a little lucky in some situations. But hey, that's the beauty of D&D, right? It encourages creativity and it just makes everything crazy. I mean, a wild magic is inherently insane, which is why I personally love it. I love wild magic, but yeah, it's inherently nutso. All right, so let's just kind of, I think we can just kind of arbitrarily choose which rooms are going to be accessible. I guess I kind of like the idea of, like, maybe these ones are all locked off, right? Like, these rooms are all locked. Because, like, when this city was abandoned, people left under the assumption that they would come back at some point. So it's reasonable to think that the baseline is most doors would be unlocked, and being able to go into any of these is because, like, the door or the window was busted in some way, shape, or form, or a wall was broken out so that they can kind of sneak in. Is sort of the idea that I'm going for here. I mean, it's thousands of years old, but, like, they're buildings that are just still standing. And if the doors were locked and never unlocked, as long as they're not directly in the face of severe weather, they can kind of just stay that way. So I'm thinking we can kind of lean into that a little bit here. But yeah, man, your game sounds like it's got a lot of fun stuff going on. No doubt. Yeah, I mean, players will definitely find ways to damage things, but doesn't mean we can't set it up with a baseline. The one thing I will say is when you get to experienced players, a lot of times they will try to sort of go the non-destructive route before they resort to busting stuff down, or at least my players do. So I can kind of set those things up and kind of gently lead them, which is really helpful. If you have a group that's really destructive, then they'll probably do that. I guess I shouldn't say that. My group has definitely lit a lot of things on fire. That's definitely happened. But the point is, if you give them a way to sort of sneak in, a lot of times players will do it. If you give them a way to discreetly check things out, especially if it's an area where there's monsters and they know it. they'll usually find ways to kind of quietly make their way through. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting if we have like these blocks of like this block of buildings closed off and inaccessible, because then what we can do is we can, like, once one of the windows gets busted out, because like all the windows would be boarded up and all that kind of stuff, so once they kind of bust their way through there, then they can then like there'll be maybe like a door connecting a couple of these buildings or something like that, so it's like going in one of them gets access to all of them. And so that can kind of make it interesting without, like, conveniently all of the doors that were locked are now unlocked later, right? It's like you kind of want to come up with some sneaky ways to do it. And it's like, if we're going to have this one be smashed out, maybe this one's locked in the first place, and then it gets smashed out at the same time. Like this group of windows and that group of windows gets kind of smashed out. And they can do that. And so that gives us 4. Actually, if we block off all of these, that gives us the 5 that won't be accessible right away. And then we can make those just with that simple move. Those are all accessible. And then for making... And honestly, actually, we don't even need to make things less accessible. It's just that there's nothing new or interesting about them the second time players show up. It's like we're not going to reload it with loot or anything like that. So... to get a wooden statuette, clever. That's real clever of them, right? Yeah, players, they sometimes get reactionary. There's no doubt about that. But that's when you just say, like, well, now you can't get the thing. You know, you did it. You did it. All right. Yeah, I like that. I like that. We can... I don't know. I guess I still want that one to be accessible. Maybe we'll just, like, make one other random one, like maybe the corner of this building gets busted out. So it's like these 3 are locked and inaccessible in the first place. And we can set it up so that, like, maybe weather has destroyed one of the windows here. And so they can kind of go in through there. Spells perfect for singing ways. That's right. I'm not grasping what you're saying there, Eldritch. I'm sorry. Hey, how's it going, Evelyn? Good to see you. Good to see you here. Yeah, so we can just have, like, one of these windows has been busted out, and so then they can kind of gain access to all of these areas through the interior. So, okay, I gotta start writing this stuff down so that way I can keep it straight. So let's get our format here. So this is our template. We're gonna use some of it, not all of it. But we can start off by we need 10 rooms. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so room. So if we want to have, let's see, if we want to have 3, 4, 5, 8, and 15 inaccessible, that means we're going to have 1, 2, 6, 7, 9 through 14. Okay, so and we're gonna do it like that because we're gonna leave these numbers here for the sake of organization and understanding what's going on here. So 1, 2, 6, 7. So that's 1, 2, 6, 7, and then what was it? 9 through 14. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then 14. There we go. Boom. Let's see here. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, I think the smart way to handle just about anything that players want to do is make sure you keep in mind whatever consequences would happen for the actions. Like, there's no action that doesn't have some sort of consequence. They can minimize it, but there's always the chance that things can go wrong. And I think that's the best way to approach it in general, no matter what players are doing, is make sure that if they do something that has results and consequences, that you stick to them. Because that's what keeps the game interesting. If they always get away with everything in general, then you know, it gets a little too easy. Okay, so let's see. Let's do this. All right. Let's do this. They needed to avoid errors. I mean, hey, that's a consequence. That's a consequence, no doubt. So, okay, so if you got these rooms here, now I want to keep track of which rooms are going to be unlocked. So I'm going to have 2 be unlocked, right? The door is like half hanging off the hinge or something like that, so they can go into 2 and 1. So let's just make little notes right here. We'll just do, I'll organize this a bit better, but I'm just trying to make sure I keep things straight in my head. So accessible through 2, room 2, door door busted, so they can go in through the door. So we'll do that. So that's good for those ones. 6, we'll just say like a window is busted in 6. That's easy enough. 6 is window busted. 7 was another separate isolated building. We can just say crumbled wall for that one. That's a good way to let players get in there if they want to. So that works. Let's see, which one 9 was the other freestand, right? Yeah, 9 is freestanding. Let's say like the back wall is crumbled so they can go in through the back there or something like that. So we'll say crumbled wall. Like I just want none of these to be accessible through just like a standing unlocked door. Because like I say, I'm trying to set the scene here that like the city is like really old. It's been abandoned for hundreds of years, you know, so things are crumbling, things are starting to be damaged, but it wasn't like this city wasn't abandoned in, you know, in a matter of a half hour, right? Like people took their time, packed up their stuff and left. It was an intentional departure from this city. And so I want to make sure it's like when people go in, everything seems like it was very purposefully shut up, locked up, closed up tight. You know, spare supplies were like stored in crates and everything like that. I don't want this one to be just like a random, you go in there and you find like shelves completely intact and everything's normal. I want this to, I want it to feel like, you know, they're walking into a place that people didn't just up and ditch. So let's see, which one is 10? 10 and 11. So let's say actually no, let's say that there's like the corner crumbled, so that they can get through both of them through the same thing. So it's like that is crumbled, the wall is crumbled, so they can go in there. So let's do that. Let's see here, crumbled wall, that's shared with 11. So if we do that, and then let's see here, copy that, paste that. Eldritch, you gotta start sharing all these stories on like Reddit or something, man. You're just absolutely chock full of them here. You got endless stories. You gotta share these goofy, nonsensical things your players get up to. Okay, let's have 12 be like the door is busted, they can go in there, and then 13 and 14 are accessible through that. So we'll say 13 accessible through 12 and 14 accessible through 13. We'll do it like that. So door busted, and then we'll do, actually, you know what, even better idea. Let's do accessible through 12 or 14, and then we'll have 14 be a busted window. And then there we go. That can make it. That can make it good. There we go. Yeah, I think that accounts for all of it, and that gives us a good setup for some stuff in these other rooms. And then maybe what I'll do is I'll just put a little note up top here, right at the beginning here. We'll get our red font here and do ourselves a little DM note and just say, note that rooms 3, 4, 5, let's see here, 8, yeah, it was 8, and 15 are presently locked and boarded up. If players are determined let them brute force their way through, but don't just give them what they will eventually need. Well, I guess how do I want to say this? But don't let them know what they will eventually need from in these rooms, right? So we'll put it there, and if they grab it, then like, hey, we'll let them, and they can kind of skip their way through some stuff, you know, living open world. We'll let them do that, but we're not just gonna outright tell them like, oh well, you got there early, here's this extra stuff. So we'll just put that little note there, so we can keep track of it all. And that'll be good. Let's see here. So I like to start off each section by just offering a little narrative description. Just a little something. Sometimes it's a more extensive than other times, but I like to put a little narrative introduction to each section just to kind of set the scene. And I don't even always use them in my games. I just kind of put it there. The way I always say it is, it's good to write out a narrative that you can just read. So that way, if there's a night when you're DMing and your brain just isn't firing on all cylinders, maybe you had a long day, maybe you're really tired, whatever it is, that way you've got something that you can just read. And even if it'll feel a little stiff because you're reading something rather than just ad-libbing it, then at least you're giving something to sort of set the tone of the section of what they're doing, you know, for your players. Even if your DM brain isn't at full capacity on any given day. I find that helps me a lot when it comes to DMing and being prepared for sessions. It's just have a little narrative, something. So we'll work on something there. See now you're making it sound like your group is just a meme central. Telling you, man, you got to start sharing those stories. You got to start writing them out and write a, you know, get like, you can do one of them fun accounts on Reddit or something like that, where you just kind of go in and you do like creative retellings of all of your groups and everything like that. That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do, man. All right, let's see here. So if I want to do this intro, so previously we gave like a little intro for them. Like, this is them going and meeting the wizard up at the tower. And actually, you know what? I need to add a little bit more to this now that I'm looking at it, because we have right now. So as you approach the city from afar, you can see that it still stands, though even at this distance, it clearly has seen better days. Many of the buildings around the outskirts are little more than piles of rubble, while the nicer buildings towards the inner city appear damaged, though many still stand. Much to your relief, the tower, which you seek, still stands tall on the other side of the city, apparently sitting to the east of town among the foothills of the mountains. As you get closer to the city, actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and pull up. Let me grab our sort of overall area map that we're working on here, just so we can all, just so that as we're all sitting here, we can, let's see, let's pull up this map here, the Q5 map. That's the one we're working on. Pull that sucker up here, just so that way we can all kind of have a clear image of what's going on and know what we're working on here. So this is our map of this campaign, right? This is like the whole big wide open map that our players are exploring. They're at this stage, they're entering this abandoned city of Minadala. And then they're trying to get access to this wizard tower. And the reason they're doing that is because this wizard tower, back when the city was still active, was known to have teleportation circles that could take them over to here. And so the idea is that they want to go here and just teleport rather than having to go through the giant territory in the mountains that they've already done. Thank you. I'm pretty pleased with how this map is turning out. It's not quite done. We'll still be adding more stuff as we go, but as of right now, I'm pretty pleased with how it looks. It's got a nice appearance to it. I agree. But yeah, so they're going up to this wizard tower here, and they're kind of approaching, probably most likely, just given the chain of events that our players are following, they're most likely going to be up here in this city, the still living city that they're based out of. traveling along this road and going up into this city is most likely where they're going. There's a possibility that if they know, they can just like beeline straight from the section previous, which was over here. They can follow that over and up into there. But either way, they're entering the city from this south side, and then they'll be exiting via the eastern pathway that leads up to the Wizard Tower there. And so that's what we're working on. That's what we're describing for our players here. So let's see. Much to your relief, the tower which you seek still stands tall on the other side of the city, apparently sitting to the east of town among the foothills of the mountains. As you get closer to the city, you find yourselves among the ruined outskirts. Signs of wildlife are all around you. Mostly small critters like squirrels, birds, and the occasional fox flit about the ruins, seemingly afraid of you and your bipedal intrusions. Looking down various streets and alleyways, you do see shadows and figures of larger animals, but it seems easy enough to avoid these creatures so long as you remain attentive as you go. And if players are feeling froggy and they want to go and pick fights with these wild animals, then we can just like grab from any of our things, which are all just wild animals, and be like, all right, fine, you're fighting these guys right now. If they want to be like all poachers about it, they can do that. I want to add a bit more. And I'm just going to say, yeah, eventually you reach the path leading to the tower. It's actually, we'll say, it's a longer walk than you expected, taking nearly a full day to go from the outskirts of the city to the base of the tower. Let's see here. We'll say as you are walking this path, the distance, let's see here. It becomes clear just how massive this tower is, considering how far away it is, and yet you still saw it from within the city. So we can just kind of add that little thing, kind of set the scene again a little bit here, and then we're gonna have them eventually interact with the wizard. We'll just say, once you reach the base of this tower, you can see a single door sitting among the cobblestones that comprise the walls. There we go. Okay, wait. Okay, what do you got for me? No truth. Not to some ability would have mage able to cast it. Come to me. Yeah, 100%. I think it's really common actually for people to set up a situation where if you are among royalty or leadership, oftentimes when there's like a court style system, I think it's actually pretty common that a lot of DMs will have there be like an on-hand mage that uses Zone of Truth and something like that for the sake of like judicial systems and everything like that. I think that's a pretty common concept, because you're absolutely right that would, I mean, why wouldn't you if you know that ability is there and you're trying to have some sort of justice legal system? Why would you never do anything? So I mean, maybe you haven't encountered it a whole lot. I encountered a lot. I see a lot of people do that. Might just have to be with different circles that we roll in and stuff like that. I think it's pretty common. We see it oftentimes in like D&D games and stuff. Let's see here. Okay. Once you reach the base of this tower, you can see single door sitting among the cobblestones that comprise the walls. You try the handle. I mean, we're kind of putting words in our players' mouths by saying you try the handle, but we're just setting the scene, and all it's going to be is you try the handle and find it locked. Find it locked. However, as soon as you make contact with the door, you can hear a deep ringing bell tone from within, apparently alerting anyone who may be inside. It is only a matter of seconds before the door opens and you are greeted by a man who stares at you as though you are the first people he's seen in centuries. And it's fun to say that because as they'll learn, it's kind of true that it's been centuries since he's really interacted with people. We'll say he stands of average height and wears tattered brown robes. His beard runs nearly to the floor, and his head is bald as can be, displaying countless liver spots across the wrinkled skin. Boom, there we go. And that's just our basic description of our guy. And then at that point in time, what we can do is we'll just do oh wait, here I said unlocked. I'm gonna change that. We're gonna find it locked. Find it locked. Actually, no, we can just kind of delete the sentence since we've fleshed that out. Tower is many stories tall. In theory, there could be a lot to explore. But our wizard, that's our wizard here, very alert and protective of his keep. He will immediately appear before the players as they knock. His suspicions at first will be he is suspicious at first, but warms up quickly as long as players are not threatening to him. Yeah, and at that point in time, everything's consistent, so that's good. Yeah, I mean, for every spell, there's like a counter spell type of version, and I think that just kind of makes sense. You don't want a spell to have absolute power, but that's, you know, I mean, that's just how you make it interesting. You give people all kinds of different layers to like spell and counter spell and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, okay, I think that's good. And that'll give us all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I don't remember it off the top of my head either right now. Okay, so that gives us our basic entry as they're going in there. So now we can go on to section 1. That's like sort of our prelude, our prequel, as players are just arriving at the city. Because despite there being, and I think this is one thing that's kind of fun about this section, despite there being, you know, the perfect setup for something to be exactly like Dungeon of the Mad Mage, right, where it's like this tower, this wizard's home that is just full of all kinds of floors and stuff to encounter. They really won't get the chance to do that because the wizard's alive and he welcomes them in. But it's like, I don't know, you stay in the guest quarters, and it's like the guest quarters are going to be there. And the thing, and the way that I imagine it too with this tower is that there aren't explicit staircases leading from any floor to another. It's a wizard. He can just like poof his way around. So he doesn't bother with that. Like there's no staircases. So like the players don't have any real way to get around the tower like he does. Is sort of my idea, or at least go from floor to floor. So I think that works really well. Let's see here. We'll do that. Let's see here. I mean, that's one way to handle it. No doubt. Let's see. You know, I'm looking at the time. I'm gonna take a quick break, just like a 1-2 minute break. I need to run to the bathroom really quick, and I'm gonna refill my beverage. So I will be right back. Sit tight, and we'll keep going this. But before I dive into writing out a long, drawn out explanation, I gotta void the bladder here. So I will be back very shortly. I appreciate your patience. Alrighty. Appreciate the patience, everybody. You know how it goes. Sometimes nature comes a calling, and you can either answer the call or you can wait for her to bust down the door. Because either way, she's getting through. So we're gonna go now. All right. Right. We were gonna do an intro for this section. So we'll just say something along the lines of, you know what I need to do. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of a tangent, but I just realized I still haven't really thought about what, like, supplies they're supposed to be getting for this wizard that's making them go in and out of the city. I mean, there's stuff for a teleportation circle. So what I want to do here, teleport? I'm going to look up here. Let's see here. Teleport traps, teleport trap. Yeah, let's just check. Start here. What I want to do is I want to see if we have any sort of notes that exist about exactly what types of materials one might need to be able to cast this. Transports, 8 willing creatures of your choice. Components. Right, yeah, it's got the components right there. I didn't know, because some of them will give you more specific stuff. So we've got that. I just want to look and see here. Yeah, it's just gonna have it, and that's gonna be it. So we can just kind of make up what we want to do, because the idea is that he's gonna need some equipment to be able to make the teleportation circle. Is the idea here. So we can kind of play fast and loose with this type of stuff to make or rather repair something like that. So I think what we can do here, let's look at and like we can think about what thematic things would be there in our map that our players would need to get for it. So we can have, so I'm thinking, so we've got the market. Right, there's gonna be a couple. I just want to bring that over to be organized. So we got 2 instances we're gonna go on the market, and so those can be just like really standard, commonplace things. I mean, kind of like I guess depending on how you define the word teleportation, they're kind of the same thing. But yeah, it's hand wavy story stuff, but we're just trying to tell a story here. So, so I think like we can do something where it's just like, yeah, he needs some chalk so that he can draw the circle, right? So they have to go to town and find a place that'll have some chalk. Like we can do stuff like that, right? It can just be like really simple stuff. It doesn't need to be particularly complex. We don't need to like make up a new spell or anything like that. Yeah, I like that one. So let's just kind of say, over here, let's do DM notes here and say, below is, whoa, our font kind of got a little wild and crazy there, didn't it? There we go. Okay. Below is the list of what players will need to find for our wizard, sis. Is the list? Oh, it's the list. List of what players will need to find for sis, so that he can rebuild the teleportation teleportation circle for them to use. Let me do that. Yeah, exactly. Like it's one of those things where it's like there's not really a clearly defined rule, but we're also doing homebrew, so we get to do kind of whatever we want, and it's perfect. And it's one of those things too where it's like most players will, even if there was a clearly defined rule and I was changing it, you can just kind of offer up a hand wavy explanation, and most players, like most good players will accept it because they know that you're trying to weave and tell a story, is what's happening here. So so let's see here. So we can go ahead and do our list here. So we'll need section 1, we'll say chalk to draw the circle. We can do something like that. Let's do section 2. So section 2, where's he going? That's okay. That's right. That's going in the manor. So what we can do is section 2, any large gem, can say any large gem worth at least, we can do is we can say at least 1,000 gold. We can just say like a really expensive gem, and so they have to go to the manor. And like that's what the recommendation, and that's why they go to the manor, because they'll go in there and they'll have to find some sort of, you know, the family's crown jewel or something like that, and they have to find, you know, the diamond that has 1,000 faces or whatever. You know, we can do something like that. We can think about the details later when we get there. My own spells go. Let's say version where I don't need to see where I want it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's I think we're saying the same thing for sure. So section 3, that's back to the city, right? Make sure I keep all my stuff straight. Section 3, yeah, in the marketplace. So this one we can just do again something mundane. We can just say like some mundane spell component that his supply is out of. So there's like an alchemy shop or something like that they need to get into. Section 4. That one was, what was that one? Was that going back to the manor, or can't remember. Section 4. Oh, that's right. They go into the temple. So we can say, so that's actually really easy. So they got to go to the temple, and we can do a holy, yeah, we'll just say a holy icon of some sort, right? So they got to go there and find some sort of statue or whatever. And then so 5 should be the temple again, if I'm remembering everything that's in this section. Or section 5 is in the temple again, and then the last one is going to be in like the rich family's tomb. Oh great, it's doing that one thing where it like doesn't actually show me what I'm trying to type. Hooray, it's great. I'm glad we're doing this. All right, there we go. Section 5, back to the temple. We can say I don't know, holy water. There we go. That makes that's something that has some sort of magical thing. And then section 6 is, we can say I don't know if they're going into we're going into the crypt, so I was thinking it could be, it could be something like that would have been yeah, we could do something. Oh, here's what we can do. Here's what we can say for it. We can say something from the desired location, and the hint is that like there was a member of the royal family that was originally from that elven city that they're trying to get to, right? And so they need to go find something, you know, that was buried with them, you know, some sort of charm bracelet or whatever that demonstrates from that city. you know, that was originally from there. Our location, so we can just say elven charm buried with someone from that from the city, from the destination. There we go. And so we just kind of do that, and it's like the idea is then he just kind of goes back and he does his own spell and then produces it for them. We can do that. That'll be great. Yeah, exactly. Like there are spells and stuff like that for it, which is why we're kind of hand waving it. So the precious gems with 50 gold piece, which spell consumes. Yeah, so there we go. So we're kind of on par with it, where it's like he needs the circle and it needs the gem, and then it's like we can just kind of, for these things, just kind of hand wave it as like that's what he needs to properly break them down to infuse the chalk with the gem or something like that. And then he needs like a destination thing, so that way he knows where to send them off to, and we can just do it that way, and that'll be perfectly fine. Like I say, the thing is yes, we're playing fast and loose with the rules, but in the first place, D&D in and of itself encourages that. So you know, we kind of got that going for us. And like I say, the thing is and this is just something that I do as a DM. Like I put telling a story over being a rules lawyer. Different people approach the game differently, and there's no right or wrong way of doing it, but that's just what I do, because it's more fun if there's a compelling story than it is to have a crappy story, but in the name of following the rules. So oh, you didn't know there was teleportation circle? Yeah, there's absolutely like spells and stuff for making that kind of stuff. Like it's definitely a thing that exists in D&D, and that's why I kind of wanted to just do a cursory search and see, because we can let me try teleportation, and let's see if that pulls up our teleportation circle tablet. Yeah, teleportation tablet, teleportation circle. So yeah, there's the circle, and then the materials for it. Does it have the rare chalks and inks? Yeah, exactly like you said. So, you know, like I knew something like that existed. I would have thought that would have been one of the first things that came up when you search teleport, but apparently D&D Beyond's search function is not that great. But yeah, I knew they would need something to write with. I knew they would need expensive gems, because they always do. There's always an expensive gem involved in spells. Like you need to destroy monetary worth, which is, I think, kind of goofy, but like I guess the way I always look at it is it's like, especially the way I structure and explain magic within my world, is that like someone who casts magic, it's not like they have the magic inside of them or anything like that. It's that magic is an energy that flows, that ebbs and flows throughout the world. And so casting spells is using yourself as like a conduit for being able to like take that energy and create intended result. And so when doing something that is more so like creating a reusable item, such as a reusable teleportation circle, the idea is that you are finding something else to channel, that you're trying to create something else, an object that can serve as that conduit. And so the cost has to be much higher, and a lot of times you're trying to sort of like bribe gods into lending you like power to create a permanent conduit or something like that. And so it's like that's what the monetary value comes in. So I mean, like there's all kinds of different useful tools. I do D&D Beyond just because I find it's really helpful to be able to share stuff with my players and them using their character sheets. But you're right, there's a lot of really good tools. There's a lot of really good tools out there. But yeah, so this is gonna be our stuff that we need them to find. So the first section is gonna be really easy. So we can just go ahead and draw up a we can write up a basic intro here, and it can just be something along the lines of here, as you walk your way back to the city. You know what, I'm just realizing something. I need to change this a little bit here. Let's see here. Taking nearly we're going to say a full afternoon. Because if it's a full day, then just going to the city once or twice is going to take multiple days. And even though we can kind of hand wave that for the sake of the game, players are going to rankle a little bit at having to go back and forth and turn this into like a 2-week excursion just to make the teleportation circle here. So, as you walk your way back to the city, you contemplate the first item you've been instructed to find. Some simple chalk to be used to draw the circle. We'll say this seems easy enough to find, and you suspect that that you will have luck somewhere in the markets of the city. Anywhere, let's see here, anywhere that there is a general store, there is likely to be writing implements such as chalk. Boom, there we go. Let's do that, and then we'll say, as you approach the markets, you can immediately tell that this is going to be a tougher situation than you initially expected. It seems as though a herd of rhinos has made its home in this part of town, using the buildings that they can squeeze their way into as shelter, and enjoying the grasses that grow in and around the buildings. Boom, there we go. So there's our basic intro. Real simple, doesn't need to be anything too fancy. Just something to set the scene. That's the word I'm looking for. Simple as that. Now the trick for this one is going to be, because they're going inside these buildings and we use those rooms, trying to figure out exactly how to set up the enemies, because normally the enemies go within each room, but it's going to be a little weird if in this situation the enemies are always just, rhinos that will, conveniently be partitioned, like 3 of them in this one room, 5 of them in this one room. So what I'm thinking we'll do is, since all of them are going to have like a door or a window or a wall that's like crumbled out, what we'll do is we'll set it up so that they're all just like packs of them that are hanging out in front here. And so players will have to try and figure out how to either fight them or lure them out and away, and they can do whatever they want, but we'll just set them so that they're all kind of like spilling out there, and then inside is where they can find the spoils, right? And we'll end up doing the same thing when the elephants come through. It's more that the elephants are just like hanging out in the alleys in front of different buildings and different places, and we can just kind of set it up like that. So it's really like just one big pile of lots of enemies, right around in these alleys. That'll be just kind of fun for them to figure out. And if they want to like try and go around in the back, and in fact we could probably add a back door to most of these places, and if they wanted to try and go in and bust their way in that way, we can give them the opportunity for some of those to do it that way. And we just kind of have it be like uniformly that these doors, I mean, maybe for some of them the doors are unlocked and they can kind of get in there. But the thing that I think would also be really funny, right? So 8 is one of the rooms that they can access right now. I think that's where we got to put the chalk, so that no matter what happens, they're going to have to somehow find a way to go through all of this giant herd of rhinos, which, like, one might presume there's something magical about them, because there's something magical about everything in D&D. So I actually think that would be really funny if like that's the general store, you know, and they have to, they no matter how sneaky they can be throughout the rest of it, like that's where they gotta end up going, and they can try and like use going into different buildings and stuff like that to their advantage to try and sneak their way around. But I think that'll work really well. I think I actually really like that idea. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Okay, so that's good. Let's see here. That's an oddly specific mention there, but you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Oh boy. All right. I guess although actually now that I'm thinking about it, you're talking about rhinos. You're approaching the poetic irony concept, aren't you there? All right. So wandering monsters approach. This is really easy. I'm just gonna predetermine. There's just a couple rhinos that might be wandering around a little bit. And notice the way we've done it is we basically just have like large animals, like large farm animals that rely on kicking and charging. And we're just reskinning them all as rhinos, and it'll be just fine. It'll work well enough. So if it's going to be 350 for a medium battle, we can say, so for one medium battle, we can say 3 of these bad boys. And then we'll come over here and we'll just copy and paste this whole thing rather than retyping that every time. 3 of those, and then we can throw in 1 cow. Do that. That's one of them there. And then the other one. Oops. Go. The other one is. I don't know. We can do 7. We can do 7 of these guys. 7. 7. Oh, boom. There we go. Boom. Simple as that. Simple as that. I feel like you've told me that story before. I remember hearing that story from you before. That's I mean, that's just playing into the stereotypes there, that player at that point in time. Let's see here. So for each of these rooms, so we're gonna have to do things a little bit differently. So I have, for those who are unfamiliar, I have set up this template, which is how I make sure I have every section of every dungeon or whatever, like providing the things that I like to provide for players. And I like to do that way, so that way I don't forget anything important or fall into a habit of like denying certain items or anything like that. Oh man, I apologize in advance if I start coughing a lot. I can feel one of those throat tickles where it's just like on the side of your throat, so like coughing doesn't do anything. The worst, the absolute worst. But at any rate, I have these things set up here, and I like to, a lot of times I'll typically like to sort of like randomly assign those. There's some of them, I'm gonna just delete this. I don't need this because I have pre-made a checklist that I can reuse and mark off as I told you it's there, so I can mark them off as I'm adding things here. I have a pen, and a lot of times I'll randomly assign, and I may do that for some of them, but there's a few things that I want to make sure are going in certain rooms. So like we talked about with it was number 9 that's there. We can still, okay, it was 7 and 9. Well, they're going to be approaching from the east, so if we put it in 7, then that'll still in a lot of ways require them to go in. That'll work. Yeah, that'll still work. I'm still not going to worry about it. So let's see here. I'm telling you, man, you gotta start sharing these stories elsewhere, because they just disappear when you put them in chat. You got some great stories. You gotta go put them on Reddit or something. You gotta immortalize that crap. Okay, so That's good. Okay, so it's going to be in room 7 reward. Be the chalk is what we need here. So that one will so that one's kind of its own thing. We're going to kind of count that just as a lore item here. We can mark off one of those because I like to include a lot of lore as rewards too. That way players can kind of have the opportunity to keep learning more about the world that they're in. Just helps with immersion, and it really helps players get involved and get invested in the game when you give them bits and pieces of lore. Like, there's still a lot of tangible rewards too. So I like to give them lore here. So if we do that, and then if we do the boss battle in room 7 as well. Normally I don't always put the boss with I don't like, a lot of times I'll randomly assign where the boss goes, and so if there's like a key item they're trying to search for, it's not actually all that common that the boss is directly guarding the key item. I like to do things like that, so it's just like they may encounter the boss and they may not, you know, things like that. I like to kind of keep it a little random there, because a lot of times, you know, sometimes it is there because like explicitly the boss is in possession of it or something like that. So sometimes that's necessary, but in other times, like a situation like this, it's not like the rhino would, typically speaking, be conveniently guarding the chalk that they needed. It's like, why would a rhino have the knowledge to guard anything, and why would it know that chalk is the important thing? So that's it's kind of convenient, but my justification is that because we're setting this up so that the rhinos are going in and about, we'll just have like big bad rhino man standing right here, and then if the players are wanting to try and find a different way in, like sneak their way in or something like that, then we can let them do that. But I think it just would be really fun if it's like, oh great, we got to get through the biggest one to get there, and it's like womp womp, you know, one of those situations. So I'm gonna go ahead and pair those up this time, even though I wouldn't always do that. That takes care of our boss battle. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know that I need anything to be in a specific place here. I think everything else we can just kind of like randomly distribute them. So I'm gonna run and grab my dice, because some people get really obsessed with like collecting miniatures and stuff like that. I'm obsessed with collecting dice. I'm definitely a dice goblin, and I will use any opportunity I can get to use my dice. So I'm going to run and grab my dice really quickly, and then we'll go ahead and distribute what's going to be where in this part of our dungeon. So give me 1 second. Ah, boy. See, now it's a good day. It's always a good day when I get the chance to use my dice. Always a good day. Which dice am I going to use today? There's so many of them. I have so many different sets of dice. I don't know what one I want to use. Usually I'll just reach in and grab a random one, and then grab the rest of them that I need of the matching set, and that's how we do it. So let's see here. Today, let's see, I need the D10, 8, 6, and 4. So let's grab a D10 and let's go. Let's see here. Hey, there we go. These are some of my favorite. Oh, I'm handsome now. Oh, I do believe you're giving me the vapors. Oh my. Thank you, I appreciate it. All right, so these are some of my favorite dice. Let's see if it can focus in there. They're so pretty. Oh, come on, focus. Oh, I'm not there. Focus on. There we go. Like, oh, no. I'm not here. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, I'm not here. Focus on the dice. Come on, camera. Focus on the dice. It's not gonna do it. You can still kind of see the colors. Metal dice, gold with black and orange enamel. I love them. Super Halloween looking. I'm a big fan. Roll a dice to determine which dice. Now we're getting a little too meta. I don't know if I can handle that much meta. That would be kind of fun if I had like a list of all my dice, and I just like, you know, I roll the D100 and just like re-roll until I get one of the sets. Where's the matching one here? There's the other metal dice. I know you're in there. Don't you hide from me. Shush, phone alarm. I know it's 1 o'clock. I don't need you right now. Right now, I need my dice. Aha, there it is. Okay, we got the D8. And we got the D6. And we got the default. There we go. All right. So we have our dice. We need the 10, 8, 6, and 4 because we have 10 rooms to distribute things for. And then as I cross things off, since it's without replacement, I just reduce dice so I don't have to re-roll as many times. So, all right. So we've already got the boss and the lore figured out. Those are going to be in room 7. So now we just go down the rooms here, and we just roll and see what's going to end up in each of them. I like doing it this way too. Like I say, we go through first, and if there's anything that needs to be in a specific place, we go through and we start with that. And then we just randomly do it. And the reason I like randomly doing it is because, one, it prevents me from getting in the habit of always trying to like guide them through increasing difficulty, because I feel like it just feels too convenient if that's always how it is, right? You know, if players are just like always going through, it's like, oh, this is the next room, I bet it's going to be a bit harder, right? I like to avoid getting myself into any habits like that. And the other reason I like doing it is because that way I don't even know what this dungeon is going to look like, and it makes it a really fun creative writing exercise to just sort of randomly assign things and figure out, it's like, okay, so why is the boss in this room, you know? Or it's like, why is this room trapped? Things like that. So it just makes it more fun, I always find. Highly recommend it for anyone else looking for a way to spice up your dungeon making. All right, we're going to roll our d10 here. Oh, yeah, we got a 2. That means room 1, the danger is going to be an easy battle. Simple enough. Easy battle. And then the reward for doing it is going to be... it's going to be some money. We'll just let them find like a little... I gotta talk quieter. I'm closer to the mic. We're gonna let them find just like a little like pouch of cash or something. Maybe this family left behind the cash register and there's still some money in there. All right, so room number 2. Now we gotta switch over to our D8. First danger. The danger in there is going to be. Hold up. Gonna be a hard battle. All right. Hard battle, McCormick. Let's do it. Hard battle. And then the reward is going to be, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to be some lore. Players will find lore in there. Some sort of bit of lore. Room 6. Going to have, what is that? That's going to be, this is going to be the one room. So I always also include one room that does not have any monsters in there, just because it's a little too convenient if every room has a danger. I mean, you know, again, avoiding our own patterns. So that'll be the safe room. And then similarly, one of the rooms in here is going to just like be empty of rewards, and there's not going to be anything in there, which is always fun because like I try to make it not clear when players are in that room, so that way they can just like sit there and obsess. Like my favorite is when they're in that room and they do like perception checks. Oops, I'm sorry, I'm bumping my mic here. And they do perception checks, and they do poorly on those. So then you can just do that. You can just do this little number where they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna search for any rewards, and I'm like, you know, and so they get like, you know, a perception check of 8, you know, and you're just like, oh, you don't see anything valuable here, and you just give them one of those, and then they'll just sit there and they'll obsess over it, and they'll obsess and they'll wonder like, maybe there was. I didn't see anything. That doesn't mean there wasn't anything. And I don't know. I like messing with my players. I think it's good fun. But it won't be in this room. This room is going to have the enchanted, like an enchantment rune type of thing. I'm going to put rune in there. Because if you ever... So I do... I have a homebrew enchanting system that I use for my players. And they are quite fond of it. And so I use that with them, and they enjoy it, and they can find different runes that let them sort of make their weapons a little bit more unique and fun and flavorful, give them extra powers and stuff for their weapons. So rather than just like trying to hope for finding some random ass, like, you know, going through a random town shop and finding like a +2 sword of murder. You know, it's like, oh no, you find this little rune in this store and you can use this thing on an item and give it that extra little power, right? So it's like they can then use their gear and the gear that they, you know, at level 1 tastefully, you know, like intentionally, I guess I should say, it's not always tasteful, that they like intentionally picked out for their character rather than like ditching all of that stuff. They can, you know, they can build it. I mean, if you like a +2 sword of murder, you can go ahead and just enchant and build your own. See, that's exactly it. Because then, like, suppose you're a pirate, right? And you want you're like a swashbuckler, right? And you want to be using your scimitar. Well, that's a real bummer if you find the +2 longsword of murder. It's like, what if you could make that a +2 scimitar of murder? It's like, oh, now we're a pirate, right? So it's like that's the meat and potatoes of it right there. Because that's true. I mean, who wouldn't like a +2 sword of murder in a D&D game? Like, what a great item that would be. I should provide that for my players. That would be a fun one, and just watch them fight over who gets to use that. I think that'd be really funny. You're not allowed to use it if you're aligned as good though, because it explicitly says the word murder in it. That's just a little much for someone who's good. Okay, this room I just rolled is gonna be an easy battle here. Easy battle, and the reward in here is going to be let's see, gonna be some more lore for them. Wait, let's see, room 10 is going to be our last easy battle of this area. Easy battle. Ba-ba-ba. And then the reward is going to be this is our empty one. This is the room. This is the +2 room of disappointment. It's empty. There's nothing valuable there. All right, room 11. Now we're down to our D4. We're getting close here. That one is going to have a medium difficulty battle in it. Medium battle. Whoa. Reward is going to be that's going to be the last bit of lore that they'll find in this area, or at least this time it will be. And then let's see here. So room number 12 will have another medium battle in it. Medium battle. Go, and then the ward is going to be. Wait, does anyone else ever have difficulty picking up a D4? Like my fingers, like I have a hard time picking up a D4 sometimes. Like like if my fingers aren't like particularly tacky at any given time, like there's a good chance that when I try to pick it up, it'll just kind of like squirt out, right? Because you're like trying to pick up like a pyramid here, right? It's kind of hard, right? Because you can't just use the pressure in on itself like you can with all of the others, right? And you can't kind of get under it because it lies flush with the ground or with the surface. And it's just, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one. I don't know. It's not related to anything I'm doing on stream. I just, you know, I noticed that. This room's gonna have some money in it. But just disregard my tangent. Yeah, see, like right now, like it's like I gotta focus to pick up a D4. I don't know. Maybe I just got problems that I need to work on. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, I know that's true, but like I didn't really think that they were dice related. But you know, we learn things. This room is going to have a puzzle in it. Some sort of puzzle. And then the reward for solving said puzzle will be oh, actually, I guess it doesn't really matter because there's only 2 things left to be found around here. So some potions. And then this one with our last one is going to be a trapped room. And the reward will also be potions. Potions, master. I need your strongest potions. Alright, so I will never not think of that video when I hear the word potions. Potions, master. I need your strongest potions. You can't handle my strongest potions. We're not strong enough. I'm going into battle. I need your strongest potions. Sorry, I'll stop. Stop. I'm obsessed with that video. That video's definitely lives in my mind. There's no doubt about it. Wait, hold on. I gotta tie this up. Tie this up proper like. Because I don't want my dice to spell out all over the place. That would be a problem. And now I'm bumping my mic again. I gotta find a better place for this stupid mic. I don't have enough desk space, I'm telling you. I gotta find more places for all my crap. Or just have less crap. That's probably a better option. I gotta rewatch that Netflix series with Marie Kondo. I gotta remember how to what is it? What's her thing? It's always like it must bring joy, right? Like that's what I need to do. I need to get rid of the things that don't bring joy. Clutter does not bring joy. Does not. No, spark joy. Spark joy. That's what it is. Does not spark joy. Truth be told, her stuff actually kind of helped me come to terms with when I was moving to where I'm living now. When I was originally thinking about moving, my old apartment, the place that I used to live, you know, multiple cities away, I had this like huge book collection, and like I really didn't want to get rid of it, but also I really did not want to have to pack it all and try to figure out where it was going to fit in my new place. So her methods helped me come to terms with the fact that I had to get rid of all these books that I knew I was never going to read again, and I only kept because I liked the aesthetic. Like, boy, oh boy, maybe I'll just put up a mural of books instead if all I'm doing is about the pictures. And helped me thin out that book collection by quite a bit. Went from having like 2 full bookcases down to like 2 shelves on a single bookcase. Kept all of the ones that were like really meaningful to me, and then the rest of them I donated so that other people could, you know, clutter up their homes and have too many books. As long as it's not my problem anymore. Great. All right, let's see here. So, okay, so we got all these figured out. We've got it all kind of mapped out here, how this is going to go. And that's great. And boy, oh boy, that's just really great. Yeah, I like that. I think that'll work. So let's go ahead. What kind of time we got? Oh yeah, we got time. We got time, baby. All right, let's see, this is the really fun part. This is where we get to really get into it and design rooms and really get everything coming to life. So room number 1, accessible through 2. So first thing we need to do, first things first, I'm gonna bring us up here, and I'm going to go to our wall tool here, and we need to edit some points here. We need to kind of change this up a little bit here. And what I'm thinking is we can kind of have like, we can kind of set the walls to be a little crooked and set up, right, like a little bit. Actually, if we do that, oh shoot, bummer. We need to change our wall type. There we go. Sure thing, bud. Sure thing. Lurk all you want. I love my lurkers as much as I love my chatters. I just love everybody. Everybody love everybody. All right, so there we go. So we got our wall that's kind of like crumbly and messed up, and what we can do is we can kind of go into our object tool here, and we can do like rubble. It doesn't have. Let's try doing like wood. I have just like log. It's got like sticks. And we could kind of do. I guess we could kind of do. Well, burned wood doesn't really help us. But oh, because it's food. Yep. Let me see here. Dining decor. Art cave. Here. Let's see here. I'm just trying to see if they've got. Pressure. I mean, wait, hold on. Let's just check clutter. What kind of stuff do they have with clutter? Oh, you know what we can do? You know what we can do? We can do this, and we can take like the broken chairs that just looks like busted up wood, right? And we can kind of lay a bit of that stuff around. So there's like our busted out wall that's like shattered and fallen down, right? And so it's like players can get through there, and the wall kind of blocks them off there. So we can kind of do that. So now that's accessible through 2. And then we'll change up how 2 is accessible. But these are going to be barricaded and locked up. And still, like, the barricades are largely still intact, so it's not easy to get through there. I do want to, I'm going to go ahead and commit. I mentioned that I would do it just to give players some options, and I think I will do this. Though it might potentially make it a little easy for them to avoid the battles. Like, the thing is if they want to, if they're comfortable with missing out on the experience points, because I run my games as being experience point based. So if they want to, you know, potentially miss out on experience points and leveling up, that's their bag. They can do that if they want. That's on them. But we can give them a back door there. So that looks a little bit better. And I'm not going to worry about windows on the side here or windows in the back, because even though we don't see it, and like, there's kind of this weird illusion that happens with it, right? Where it's like, when we look at this, because that's the end of the map, we assume that what we see at the edge there continues. So we assume there's like open field and open pathway on the other side. But the way I'm setting this up is this is actually just a section of a large city. So there will be other buildings like immediately right there and immediately on the other side of that alleyway there. So I'm not going to worry about other windows, because these are mostly just meant to be shop windows that people can kind of look through. And there's not really going to be windows on the backs of any of these, because they just really lead to alleyways. So we can do that, and that'll work. Yeah. Okay, so that's our basic structure here. There's going to be an easy battle, and there's going to be some money in here. So one thing I want to think about really quickly. So if this one's going to have the chalk, this is really the only one. This is going to be crumbled wall, general goods store. This one's gonna have to be the general goods store, because that's where they're gonna find chalk, most likely. So we'll do that. So we'll say this one. I always do. So the way I like to structure this, just to make sure I have everything that I need for as the DM. Easy battle. And our baseline experience points, we figured this one out a while ago, is going to have 200 experience points for this easy battle. And then we'll do that. And then just before I forget to set it up, 200 experience points. We could do 2 of the giant goat versions of the rhinos, and that'll be perfect. We can copy that. Where's my bullet? Paste it. And we'll do 2 of those. So that gives me everything that I need, right? So here's our note, so I know what monsters are in there. I know how much each individual monster is worth, as well as what the battle itself is going to be worth. And I like to do this because, like I say, I run my campaigns based on, you know, leveling up based on experience points. And I'll issue experience points if they overcome a challenge even without having to kill something to do it, right? Whatever that sort of experience point would be worth, you know? So it's like, because pretty much everything to do within these floors, right? Like, so it's like if they manage to get the chalk without killing the boss monster there, I'll still usually give them the experience points for that, because they found a way to overcome it. So that's one way that I'll do it. But if they just flat out avoid all of them, rather than like finding some way to sneak past them or something like that, if they just flat out avoid them, then they don't get the experience points. It's a little gray area. It's a little bit judgment call-y, but I mean, you know, what isn't in D&D? So I'll do that a lot. And then, what else was I going to point out? I don't remember if I remember it all. Then what I'm going to write here is, I'll just like we did at the beginning here, I'll just write a little narrative description of what the room looks like as they're approaching it. Both approaching it and then what's inside. So that way, again, if I'm ever in a situation where I'm DMing and my brain just isn't like ad-libbing very quickly, I've got something to give to my players to set the scene. So I'm not just like saying, yeah, there's a room and there's like some rhinos there, right? Like, because I don't want to do that. Like, that's just bad storytelling at that point in time, right? That's boring. Who wants to listen to that book on tape? So we'll do that's room 1 up there. Okay, so you can see from outside of this shop that in the, let's see, you can see from outside this shop that the, what did we say for this one? Accessible through 2. That the doors and windows are solidly boarded up. The sign out front seems to suggest that this was some sort of jewelry shop at some point. We'll say, however, it seems you might not be destined to find that out. We'll say, actually, let's say, find out if that's true, as two rather large, because these are like the bigger ones, right? So we'll say 2 rather large rhinos seem to be contentedly picking at bits of grass in front of this building. And so we can just kind of offer that up there and let them kind of do what they want to do. If they want to try and sneak past them, a lot of times I'll put, like, if there's like some sort of way, if I want to make notes about players trying to sneak past or lockpick into something, I'll do that. But given the situation of this one, sneaking is definitely going to be like contested with like the rhino's perception and stuff like that. So I don't think we need to put a DM note about it. We could put a DM note about lockpicking, but actually I guess what I'll do is I will put a DM note, and we'll just say, like most buildings here, the front door and windows are solidly boarded shut, preventing any way in other than downright smashing through something. We'll just do it that way. So we can kind of offer that up there. And I mean, we could think about offering up like HP and armor class and stuff for doors, but I find that's not particularly useful because for the most part, players aren't going to do that unless they know it's safe for them to put in the work it's going to take to accomplish that, right? So it's like either they can't because it's like a steel reinforced door, and so there's just no way that they're going to be able to bust it open with a hammer, or if it's a wooden door like all these are going to be, they're not going to put themselves in a situation, if they can help it, they're not going to put themselves in a situation where like they need to worry about, you know, like doing it in a round set, you know, situation because like, oh shoot, there's a monster bearing down on you. If that happens, they're going to turn around, they're going to kill the monster until they're free to just go ahead and smash at the door like a fireman with an axe, and they can just kind of go at it until it opens. So it's like so basically what that means is usually I find that putting health and armor class and making players roll to bust down a door is really just an exercise at making it take a long time. Like, they're going to succeed eventually. If they're determined enough, they're going to succeed. So just like either say, you know, you do it or you don't, and don't worry with those rolls, and instead just like put your foot down. If it's going to be like, no, you can't really smash your way through this one, put your foot down and just say like, no, yeah, like this door is too solidly put shut, you can't smash through it, unless they come up with something really, really creative that's different than just like straight up, you know, trying to kick it down or whatever. So for something like this, you know, because everything's all boarded up and this one's still intact, it's going to be like, yeah, you can't really smash your way through here. If they want to start getting clever and being like, well, I'm going to break the window and try to pry open the boards, it's like, okay, well, if you're going to do that, then I guess we'll go ahead and, you know, we can wing it. And if like they're doing that while there's other rhinos and the glass will call their attention, it's like, okay, you have one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. You have one shot to try and get this right. Otherwise, you guys are in combat, and then you can decide what you want to do. And then you just kind of wing it. But pretty much when that happens, players are going to be like, fine. And they'll turn around, kill the thing, and then go back to the window. That's just how it always goes. That's just how it always goes. So we'll set it up like that, and then they do the battle, and that's fine. And then what we'll do is underline here, and we'll say, so the reward here was money. So we'll say, as you enter this very dark and very dusty shop, you can tell that the former owners took care to properly pack and take with them the jewelry that must have once adorned the display cases placed throughout. And then what we can do is we can just say, I'm going to put a DM note. I like to put things kind of like, I'll give a little bit here, and then I'll in red put a DM note, because there's going to be more description if they find the stuff, but that's only if they find it. So I'm going to put the DM note before I put that, so that way as I'm reading this, I see the red, and I'm like, oh, I got to stop here and see what this DM note is and go through there. You'll notice that basically, if you haven't watched my streams and you're not already aware of how I do this, how I approach this, I make it very easy for me to be just in the dumbest state of mind I can find myself in and still have success. I try to do that because while I'm sitting here having the time to really carefully, thoughtfully think things through and plan things intentionally, that way then when I'm just like frazzled and there's a million things going on and I'm trying to keep everything straight and I'm trying to keep the pace going, I don't have to think. I just have to, at the very least, be literate enough to read. You know, so I make things as easy as possible, and it always, every single session, I get done with it, and I look at my notes, and I'm like, I'm glad I took the time to write it this way, because boy, oh boy, it made that session run a lot smoother than it could have gone. You know, ever since I started doing things this way, it's just, I've gotten better and better at DMing, and my players have had an easier and easier time being immersed in it, because I don't have to stop and be like, hold on, I gotta think. I can just be like, okay, yeah. No, you see this thing, and then I just read, you know, and then, yeah, it works. Highly recommend it. Even if you don't use my system, find a system that makes it so that when you're actually running the session, you have to do as little thinking as possible. Because as little thinking as possible still results in a whole lot of thinking and tracking a million things all at once. So if you minimize as much as possible, that makes it manageable as opposed to having it be absolute complete overload. So that's the enviro tip of the day, which is a misleading phrase because it has nothing to do with the environment. My whole name is kind of misleading in that way. So it's like, what's this guy have to do with environment? This is because it's my day job. It's my day job. I do environmental stuff. And yeah, I don't know. We won't get in there because we're running short on time for writing and I want to finish this room. So, stuff once displayed, display cases placed throughout. We'll say, let players do any searching they... Wow. That was just... I really nailed that one, didn't I? Why is it making this dark gray? I don't understand why it's doing that. Weird. Let players do any searching they want to do. DC 14 to find all of the stuff. All the stuff? No, all of the stuff. Scattered around. We'll say DC 12 to only find half of it. And we'll do it that way. So it's like, depending on how well they're searching, they might find this. Because there's just going to be like bits and baubles kind of scattered around. Rather than like one big giant sack of stuff. I'm going to not call out the fact that I just said one big giant sack. Except I just did for the sake of the joke. It's all in the name of being funny. And everyone knows it's funniest when you explain it. DC 12 to only find half of it. As you scour the shop, you do manage to find odd bits of jewelry and gems scattered around, though the value is certainly not the major haul you had hoped to find in a shop of this nature. And what we'll do here, and so then I'll put little notes about exactly everything they find. And so what I like to do for this, for these types of things, there's a system, there's a website I use. Highly recommend it here. It's again the 5e tools. So this is the one that was mentioned earlier. 5e tools. I like to use this one a lot for loot generation because it will automatically roll. It'll automatically roll from the treasure, from like the stuff that you find in the DM in the Dungeon Master's Guide. So I really like to use this one for just like rolling random loot tables because it does all the work for me. It does it by the rules. It just makes it so I don't have to spend 10 minutes on a single treasure hoard. And so what I'll do is we'll have it checked as a treasure hoard. For this one, because the most, we'll pull up our thing here. Because the most difficult monster in this room, right, because they're battling to get in here, because it's actually, you know, a lot of times I'll base it on the boss. Because the boss is challenge rating 2, all the treasure hoards are worth, you know, challenge rating 2. And so the way I do that, the way I like to do that is in here, challenge rating 0 to 4, we'll leave it there. Because then as things get more difficult, you know, we can bump that up based on the challenge rating of, like, the bosses later on in the dungeon. So the treasure hoards will also get bigger. So we'll do that. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to nix the gold pieces. We're going to nix, actually, you know what I want to do? Let me go loot tables. I'm going to change this. Table, I want to do... gotta be... Well, let's see. Let's roll loot again. I was hoping that it would give me, like, the art. But it's just going to give me magic items. All right, well, we'll just do this. And we'll say... And what we'll do is instead of this, we'll add a couple, like... just like different like bracelets and stuff like that to kind of compensate for the battle for the value of that stuff there. So what we'll do is we'll say here, we'll make it really easy for ourselves. And we'll say 1x gold chain locket with we'll just say, I don't know, emeralds encrusted with emeralds? What's an emerald? With emeralds encrusted, worth 150 gold pieces. There we go. So there's just like one fancy piece of jewelry, and the rest of it are just like spare gems that looks like maybe there was like a spill or something like that. And so it's like they can find, you know, a certain percentage of it. And just to make it easy for ourselves, copy that. And what we can do is we can say, well, wait, hold on. It was 10 gold piece gemstones. They word it weirdly in there. I like to reword this. So 10 gemstones, each worth 10 GP, and that's, so then we say 100 GP total. And I always put like what the total amount for the gems and stuff is going to be. Same with like the jewelry and stuff. I always put just like the total, because some parties are really into itemized loot and finding specific things like, you know, these specific gems and everything. And other parties they just could not care less, right? So it's like if the party doesn't care less, I'll just give them the value, and they'll just be like, okay, it's just assumed that the next time we're in a town, we sell all these things to get the money value of it and call it good. But some parties are really, really like that itemized. So I just make sure I'm prepared for both. I'm also going to reformat these just for my own preference. So there were 4 of those, and then there were 2 of these, so we'll do 2. I'm going to do these. This is a little too much detail. It just feels cluttered and distracting. So I like to get rid of this stuff, but that's just my personal preference. There we go. Perfect. So we got that set up there, and there is our first room. And now we can go through and we can just kind of decorate it. And we're a little over our usual writing time, but I'm going to do it for 2 reasons. 1, I started late, and 2, it's just nice to finish your thought and like finish what we're working on here. So I'm going to do exactly that. Let's go to our object tool here. And let's search for table here. So we'll just put a couple tables, and like we can actually use these to kind of make some fancier display cases and stuff that'll fit around in here. I want to have these not snap to the grid. It makes it a bit easier. And so what we can do for these tables is just, these are, we'll call these like fancy special display cases here. We can set those up like that, and then going around the edges, right, are a few other tables. Do that. Actually, no, what we can do, we're gonna have this one be like bumped a little off kilter because of the wall damage. Right there. And then we can take, actually what we'll do, take these and put these like right by the windows as if they were like display cases. So we can kind of do that, and that's where all the gems would be. I actually do want to take these, move them in a little bit more. It's feels a little cluttered the way it is. And so if we take these, kind of put those right there, just like that. There we go. And then let's go back to object tool here. Go back to our tables, and we'll find just like a more standard table. And we'll put like table and table here as if like this was the cash register, so to speak, like that was the desk. It's a little hodgepodge, but you know, we do what we have we do the best that we can with everything. Oh boy, I kind of made this a little too cluttered. Hold on, I made this too cluttered. There's just too much going on here. No, grab that, delete that. Come on, no, there we go. And then let's just move these. You know what we can do? Put that one right there. We'll grab it, there we go. And we'll put that one right there. And then what we can do is then we can go back to our, yeah, here we go. So we can put like tables. So this is like the workstation tables and stuff, like that's what they would do. And then we can go shelf here. We can put like, I mean, it's books rather than supply shelves, but you put a couple shelves here just to like make it look like they're supply shelves. And that'll kind of give it a good shopping center appearance to it. Set that up there. And then what we can do here is if we go over here, I'm pretty sure, yeah, you can find it in Magic. Here's our scattered gemstones that are just kind of scattered about. And maybe it's like we put them kind of, we can set it as under, and we can kind of put them there. So it's like they are visible if our players are looking really closely, but it's just like how what the characters are experiencing, our players, if they're looking really closely, they might see it, but it's pretty easy to miss. So we can do that. And then the last thing here, let's go to lighting, and we'll just give this one like a decent chandelier. And then so we'll just we'll give them like a single chandelier in the front or on top there. And then we can go to our lighting tool, and then we'll diminish that a little bit, and we'll put that right there. And what this will do is this will treat it like there's candles and lighting there, which is obviously kind of unrealistic. But I find that just doing that makes it easier for players to look around and see what they're looking at when we're playing online. As much as I really like the atmosphere of keeping it dark and keeping it hard for them to see, it from a player standpoint, I get it, where it's like it makes it difficult to really see, and it makes it harder to make a decision when you can't make sense of what you're. Dang, I keep bumping my mic. I'm so sorry. I hope I'm not deafening people. But like it makes it hard for them to see and really understand what their characters can and can't see. Because like even when it's dark in a room, you can still usually let your eyes adjust and get a sense for what you're looking at, right? And see what's going on through light coming through cracks in the walls or the windows and stuff like that. Like you can still kind of see what you're looking at. And if I keep things pitch black and really dark here, it just doesn't translate as well. So I get it. And that's why I've kind of changed my tune, at least to the point of I'll put a light source in there. So it's like, if it were to be lit, this is what it would look like. And for the atmosphere, it works just fine. Because the only other aspect of it is, you know, if you're worried about being realistic with dark vision and all that kind of stuff. But I find that that's kind of pointless to worry about, because from like day one with any group, as soon as you enforce that rule, they immediately make sure that someone can either cast a light spell or has a torch with them, and it makes it so that you don't have to worry about that anymore. Because everyone will just have standard vision immediately, you know. And it's like, yeah, you can then kind of get huffy with them about like, oh, well, like enemies can see the torch and everything like that. But then they'll snuff it out and they'll relight it. So it just, I find that it just as a mechanic doesn't really do much. You know, if there's a reason for me to have something be dark, then we'll just do theater of the mind for it. When they're in a dungeon that might have battles and everything, then just give them the light. Just give them the light and call it good. My personal take. Yeah, there's all kinds of room for discussion and disagreement with me on that one. I will say that. I'll admit that. But that's my hot take. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. So there we go. So there's our room. We don't need to worry about putting enemies because we're just making the map. And the idea with my maps is I make them so that, you know, you could turn this into like a, you know, a JPEG or whatever and use it with any online system. I use Foundry, which is really nice because it will make the doors and the lights, you know, something that players can interact with in their system. So I really like using that system. It's really cohesive. But then we'll put the enemies in there so that way they're not part of the map that I can't manipulate. They're like a token there, and you know, so you don't put the enemies here on the map, even though we know what enemies are going to be there. But there we go. Like an hour and a half later, and we got a whole room done. It's okay. We got a whole lot of other groundwork taken care of that I needed to that needed to kind of be done there. Just filling in those blanks. Like I find that it gets a lot easier to do this part of it if we already have that foundation sort of made up there. So that's good. I think that's really good. And as we're looking at the time, it's a few minutes over actually when I normally call it a writing stream. But we're going to go ahead. I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and then we're going to switch over, and I'm going to do a little bit of gaming here. So let me bring us to our chatting. I'm going to do just a little my shtick for the sake of the VODs here. Yeah, thank you to everyone who stopped by. I appreciate you guys hanging out and seeing what we're working on. If you want to see more of what we're writing, then you just got to come back next week. My usual streaming schedule is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And I start 11:30 a.m. That's Eastern time zone, and we do writing for a couple hours, and then we switch over at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time zone. We switch over and do some video gaming. So that's my usual schedule. I will say next Monday there's a non-zero chance that I won't be here to stream. I'm going to be out of town and heading home Monday morning. So streaming is going to be really dependent on when I get home, what kind of energy I have once I get home, because part of the reason that I'm leaving is I'm visiting family to celebrate my sister's birthday. It's actually a happy late birthday to her. Her birthday was earlier this week. So happy late birthday again, and we'll say happy late birthday to her again later. But that's part of what we're doing. And the other part of what I'm doing is I'm getting extra training sessions with an old training partner I used to have back in that town to get myself prepped for the kickboxing fight I've gotten. It's like 3 weeks now. So I'm going to be tired. I'm going to be training and working really hard, and there's going to be a lot of family stuff going on. So I'm going to be tired. So I may or may not stream the full time. I may or may not hold my usual schedule or anything like that. But every day other than Monday next week, so Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, I should be back. And we'll be doing some writing on those days, and we'll be doing some gaming, and it'll be a good time. If you can't wait that long, if you want to just see some of the other stuff that I'm doing, if you find my stuff inspiring or interesting, you can always find all the VODs on my YouTube channel, EnviroBoy on YouTube. You can find me there. I put all my VODs up there. You can see all that stuff. You can also see all the different games and stuff that I've played. So, that's an option for you. Or if you're already sitting there watching the VOD, hey, come check me out live. I stream at those times that I just said. EnviroBoy on Twitch. So yeah, that's the schedule coming up. If you want to know other ways that you can find me, I've got a Discord server. You can get yourself signed up there. I love hearing people's stories about, their campaigns. I love hearing people's ideas about homebrew, and the Discord's a really good place to do it because it gives me a better chance to actually take in what you're saying. I love the stories that people share here. But it gets hard because they come in and I want to address them and I want to take the time, but things will come in really fast and I'm trying to do my own stream. So if you want to share ideas and stuff like that, get on the Discord and share them. And I really love to hear all of them. People share their ideas and stuff that they have going on. It's a great place. I also use that as a place to sort of give announcements about schedule. So whether or not I'll be streaming on Monday, Discord, I'll put up an announcement there. So it's a really good way to stay connected if you're interested in that. You can also find me on Twitter at EnviroStreams. I use Twitter for announcements and for sharing stupid thoughts that go in my brain. So if that sounds fun to you, then follow me on Twitter. I have an Instagram, EnviroBoy Streams. I just talked about how I do kickboxing and stuff like that. I use my Instagram to share some of these other things that kind of come up when I'm streaming, but don't actually show up on the stream. So kickboxing, rock climbing, things like that I do. If you think that stuff will be fun, then follow me there. And that's all my social media stuff. So like I say, I'm going to take a break, like, it's usually about like 10 minutes or so. Take a break. I'll leave you guys here with some music for a little bit. In the meantime, there'll be a little hiccup when I switch over the stream to some gaming. And when I come back, normally I kind of mix it up and play a couple different games throughout the week, just to kind of keep it fun and keep some variety going. But this week I have been 100% invested and obsessed with Elden Ring. And I'm 100% going to play some more Elden Ring today, because that's what I want to do with my Friday. And it's my stream and I get to do what I want to do, so suck it. Nah, it's been really fun. I've been having so much fun with it. So if you want to watch me suffer through the pain of a FromSoft game, you should hang out. And when I come back, we'll do some Elden Ring, and it'll be fun. And that'll be a great way to kick off the weekend. So yeah, that's what's going to happen. If you want to stick around, we'll see you in a few minutes. If not, I appreciate you guys stopping by, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Have a great weekend, anyone who isn't sticking around. And yeah, that's it. I'll catch you cats on the flip side, and I will be back, I don't know, in just a few minutes. So sit tight, and I'll see you soon.